Mr. Ball not only voted against autism, but he voted against infertility services. He voted against the American Red Cross. He voted against ALS, that's the Lou Gehrig disease. He voted against Huntington disease. He voted against the New York State Breast Cancer Network. He voted against lymphatic research. He voted against Brain Trauma Foundation. He voted against the Arthritis Foundation. He voted against the New York State Ovarian Cancer Foundation. Mr. Ball even voted against appropriations for our local hospital. $500,000 was put aside for Putnam County's hospital. Mr. Ball voted no against that. Alzheimer's Association, the Children's Autism and Autism Support Center, the Epilepsy Foundation, and Quality Services for Autism Communities. This list goes on, folks. I think that Mr. Ball's record in the Assembly is one that he may be proud of, but I'm not. I say, let's take the pride of ownership back from the 99th. Let's bring responsible governance to the 99th, and let's make sure that New York State gets represented by someone who's willing to listen, lead, and be inclusive. Thank you.
So now your Assemblyman, who's been the most outspoken voice for reform, not only in the 99th Assembly District, fighting the tax increases at a local level, pointing out patronage jobs at the local county roles, but in Albany, has a mark on his back the size of Texas. You know what? I love it. I welcome it. I welcome this race with every bit of fiber and fervor in my being. Because this race is an exact reflection that I have followed through on every single promise. John, can I borrow that list?
No.
Okay. That list is a list of items that represented the New York State budget. And what John probably forgot to tell you is that Greg Ball also voted against puppy dogs. He voted against rainbows. He voted against sunny days. And he voted against smiley faces. And you know why I voted against the New York State budget? Which, sure, it's $132 billion, chock full of stuff. There's great stuff in there. But you know what else is in there, John? You know what else is in there? $200 million in earmarks, your dollars, going to fund golf carts for Homeland Security initiatives in the Hamptons, and pork projects, yes, in this district, that then employ subcontractors who are political donors to some political bigwigs you know the names of all too well. I took over a $100,000 pay cut, and I am your full-time Assemblyman. I have put my heart, my soul, my blood, sweat, and tears into being your representative. And on the budget that he just highlighted that had all those good things, let me tell you a little story how the budget works. In your family's home, when you have the family budget, you probably want to figure out what you have in the bank before you spend, right? In Albany, the first year, if you remember, Governor Spitzer, many of us, we even won Putnam County by near 70%. I even believed that he was going to go and shake up Albany. He said that everything was going to change on day one. We're going to change the way the process works. The budget that Spitzer worked with the legislature on, because he folded like a cheap suit under the pressure of Sheldon Silver, who's an entirely despicable man, and Joe Bruno, who just isn't any better. He folded to them. And that year, that budget that I voted against that had smiley faces and puppy dogs and rainbows in it was the largest increase in state spending in New York State history. And with the game that they play in Albany is that when you have somebody who stands up and highlights the corruption within the budget, that highlights the lack of transparency, then they pick out line by line what you voted against, they send out glossy mailers, and they try to send you off into political oblivion. And that's the game that he's playing right now. And I'll give you $1 that that's not research that he did. This is coming from on high. And if you look at the financials, my financials on the Board of Elections, we raised nearly $200,000 over the past year, $50, $100, $500 at a time. My opponent got a $27,000 transfer from an account that 2 days before had no money. What? They either hit the lottery or somebody up in Albany decided to fund my opponent.